What's going on, people? Welcome to the channel. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial of how I make my line jackets and how I cut out and digitize all of my applique that goes on my jacket. So if you see, I have 28 jackets out here that I got to finish. I'm trying to finish them today before I can ship them out tomorrow. So me and my wife will finish them today, clean them, and ship them out tomorrow. I get a lot of questions about how I do it. Do I cut out my own letters and things of that nature? I do. I hate dealing with middlemen. I'd rather do it myself. That way I know it's done correctly and I can get it at a faster turnaround time than waiting for somebody in another state or something to send me what I need to get done. So if you actually take a look at what I'm doing. Alright, so all these jackets have different names and numbers on them. So that's what takes me a long time to do, just because each and every one has to be on the machine by itself. It can't be all four of them going at one time. But once I get to the things that are all the same on the jackets, like the sleeves, I can put them all on my big machines and they can go full speed. So I can do up to 12 at a time, just because how many embroidery machines I do have, and that just speeds my time up very quickly. So like we said, we're going to get started. I'll show you guys how I cut my letters out, how I digitize them, and how I get everything lined up for it can be perfectly on my my jackets. One question I do got before we get started: which one of my logos really looks like me? One is before hair and one is after hair. Which one do you think? Alright, stay tuned and we'll get started on the tutorial. Alright, so the first thing obviously I have to do is make sure that the information is correct that's going on the jackets. If you guys can see above, it's where I actually have all my information, what's going on in this order. That way I can actually just look up all the time and see if things are correct, they're on the right jacket, the right size, the right number, and everything like that. I do have that pulled up. So one thing I do make sure is that all my customers fill out some type of order form. If it's from my website or from the group order, I have a group order form. That way everything that they want on their jacket is spelled correctly, and all I have to do is copy and paste to my software, and after that I digitize it and put it on the jacket. So that's what we're going to actually be looking at, how I get it from the order form to my software to me cutting it out and then putting it actually on the jacket. So we'll take a look at my my screen at the moment. Alright, so the first thing I do, go to my actual order form. Like you said, everything they did is already on there. Their names, their numbers, and everything like that. The part that I'm working on right now is their ship name. So their ship name is 28 Dynamic. So what I would do is just copy that, and then I come down to my actual software, which I use Sir Cuts a lot, which came with my old vinyl cutter, but I'm so used to it that this is what I use. So after I copy it from my spreadsheet, the first thing I'm going to do is go to my software where I use all my vector files at, and paste it to this software. First thing I do is try to give it extra space, because I will be doing an outline around this actual word. So the first thing I do is go ahead and put in the measurements that I'm going to do. This is going to be 12 inches by 3.5. So that's just my normal measurements when I'm putting in items at the bottom of a jacket. Is mostly likely 12 inches long, 3.5 inches tall. So after that, what I would do is put an outline around it. So I go to my effects, my shadow layer, and I put an outline around it. See, even right there, I don't like it. So what I'll do is put another space in it between it, because that shadow that was around it was a little too close to each other. So I can do it again. And like I said, I don't want to make it too big, but not too small. I do want it to actually be an outline. So if you actually look at that, like I said, so black letters with tan outline, even though that's not going to be the letters that are on the jacket, at least you're able to see how that'll actually look once we go to the next stage. So once again, I'll go back and put it to my measurement, because me putting a shadow on it makes it a little bigger. So I go back to my 12 inches by 3.5. So this is ready for me to go ahead and put it in my digitizing software, and then I can actually put it in my software to actually cut it out also. So the way you do that is from your vector file software, you're going to export it. You can put it anywhere. I put mine on my desktop, therefore I can know exactly where it's going to be at. And once it's saved on your desktop, my next thing is to go to my digitizing software. The software that I use is Floriani. I bought it when I first bought my embroidery machine, so this is just what I'm used to. So I go to File and then Export, actually Import my artwork, and this is what I saved it under. So the main thing you have to make sure is that you put in the same measurements that you actually did on your other software. So I put it at 12. Luckily this one maintains my ratio. So if I put it at 12 and push enter, it's going to make it 12 by the 3.5 that I originally did inside of my other software. Alright, so now it's time for the digitizing part. I digitize it actually all myself. Everything is auto digitized, well, with the applique. So this button right here, if you see the pop-up, it says applique. Once I click that, it's going to turn all of this into applique. So you'll see that it did a stitching for the outside and then each individual letter. This is actually more of a satin stitch right here, which I do not do. I do a actual zigzag stitch. There's less stitching, but it's enough to hold down the letters and everything like that. So over here is where I can control my settings as far as what the density is and everything like that. So right now it's at a 0.4, but I like to make it less dense. So what I'm going to do is put it at a 3, and then change my insert to 90%. I try to explain that a little bit, not too in depth, but actually see it's less stitching now. And if I zoom in to this letters, so just to give you an understanding of what the inset is and everything like that, I'm going to click on this one letter right here. So like I said, it was 50. So it gave you 50% on the outside, 50% on the inside. I like the mine all to be mostly on the inside, so that's why I changed it to 90. And all of it is in the inside of it. So there's no stitching that's going to be outside of those letters. Alright, so I'll zoom out. So since I'm cutting this in 2 different layers, I'm going to have my white layer on the outside, and then all the letters in the end is going to be red. So what I do is, you will see that it has a placement stitch. So let me draw it out. They do a placement stitch, therefore I can know where to lay it down. And then it'll do the tack down stitch, and then it'll start doing the inside letters. As you see, it goes with the outline stitch, but since I already have it already cut down how I'm going to digitize it, I don't need that. So what I'm going to do is take down all the individual letters. I take the placement stitch out and only have the finishing stitch, and you'll see why at the end once I actually embroider it. So like I said, it'll do the outline stitch for the white. I'll put it down, and then it will do the finishing stitch on it. And then since the letters are already lined up on top of the white, all I have to do is the finishing stitches, which what it'll do at the end. Alright, so after that, the most important thing to do is to save it. So what I'll do, I'll just go to File, Save, and put it on my flash drive. And after that, we'll show you the next part of just actually cutting it out. The next part is actually putting it in my software to get it ready to be cut out. So this software is CorelDRAW. This is where I'm just going to import it in. So you do the exact same thing. You'll import it. You select where you saved it at. Once it comes up, I'm going to have to ungroup all the objects, as you see. After I do that, then I put it to the sides exactly where it's supposed to be. Like I said, I do 12 inches by 3.5. So that'll make it big enough, the exact size that I have it digitized as. So in order for me to get it in two different layers, like I said, I want to do a white cutout and then a red cutout. The easiest way is to go ahead and select all the letters, which are going to be red, and you see they get highlighted over here. I'll go ahead and combine them. That way now it's all one actual layer. So if I actually clicked on it and moved it, all of it will move all together. So let me go back. Since everything is lined up perfectly, I go back where it's lined up. Alrighty. So now this is all ready. You'll see that over here it's in two layers. I have my shadow layer, and then I have my actual letters, which is label number 2, and then the shadow, which is the outside. Alright, so once you make sure that you have exactly what you want, the 2 layers, you're going to export this as a plotter file. This is going to be able to get to my Ioline cutter. It has to be in the HPGL plotter file. So I'll go ahead and save that. I also have just a folder that I save all of these files in, just in case I need to get back to them. Once that is exported, you have to go to your Ioline actual software. So this is pretty much the final step. You'll find the file where you saved it at. This is number 25. And you'll see that it actually comes up here. So this tells you exactly what's being cut out. So if I go to design setup, it allows me to see everything that I have for that design. So right here, I can see between my outline stitch and the actual letters that I'm going to have cut out. So right now, what I need to cut out is my outline stitch. So I will go ahead and select that. So right here you'll see that I have my outline stitch ready. So once you know that you have your outline stitch, the next thing you can do I can cut just one out by itself, but to save time and money, I go back to my design setup, and you can select how many you actually want to actually cut out. So right here, I can do maximum, which is what I'm gonna do. But if you don't want to do as many as possible, you can go ahead and set copy count. Right now it's 1 of 1. That means there's only one actually getting cut out. Say for instance, I wanted to only do 2. I would do 1 horizontal and 2 vertical, and push apply, and as you see over here, it makes 2. But since I have 28 jackets that I'm doing, I'm going to do maximum and put apply, and that way you'll see now I have as many as I can cut out at one time, which is 8. Alright, so now it's time for the most important part, is cutting them out. I'm going to go to send to cutter. And once you're ready to cut it, you'll push the send button, but before then I have to set up the cutter to be ready to cut. Alright, so back in front of the screen. So now I have to get my cutter ready. So this is my cutter. These are the 2 pieces of twill that I'm going to use, a red and a white. And the first thing I'm going to do is pull it out. Go ahead and pull my twill out. So at the bottom of it there is a film, and at the other part, the actual bottom of it is actually sticky. So this gives you a chance to actually push it down for it won't move when it's actually being cut. So I'll go ahead and lay it down. Have my handy dandy squeegee. Set my point up where I wanted to start cutting it. So once I have it set, I can go ahead and push send. So I stretch it out, cut exactly what I need, and I'll do the exact same. I go ahead and select my second layer, which is just the letters by itself. So since the outline is already done, I can go ahead and just cut the letters right on top of it. So I'll push send, and now, alright, so now everything is actually cut out. What now I'm doing is just peeling off the red. So every once in a while something gets stuck on because it is sticky. But like I said, I pull off all the red. And that piece that I took off, I can actually put back on later. So after that, I take the white off. And there you go. You have your 2 layers that you're going to have to cut out. So now I have the 2 pieces that I'm going to do, the 28 and the dynamic, and now all I have to do is go ahead and hoop all of my jackets and then put them on the machine, upload my actual design and push start, and therefore we can get started. Alright, so we got the design actually loaded up on the machine. Since the jackets are pretty much upside down, what we're gonna do is turn it, the design to 180 degrees, which is pretty much upside down. So now the design is the right way it's supposed to be. Then I set my needles. So I'm going to do an outline stitch, a tack down stitch for my white, and then the tack down stitch for red. Alright, we have it all set up, and we'll push the start button. Alright, so now the design has already put the placement stitch down. Now we're just go ahead and put the actual lettering down. Alright, so now that I got my letters, the first thing I do is take out the insides. So it can be actual letters. Then I take my spray adhesive, this spray away. I don't know if you can see that, see if I can get it focused. But this is what I use. It's not too sticky or anything like that. It's just enough adhesive to actually lay it down. So I put it on his back. I spray it. And then I lay it down.
And I'm gonna put it on cruise control.